Hey folks, Joko here, and I really should be doing other things right now. It's a Friday before a weekend, and I've got stuff to do, but I'm done working. There's a meeting coming up, but I feel free to do what I want, and I feel like giving back, and that includes doing free feedback without making a big deal out of it, right? Now, why am I doing this one? Well, because here we have a advantages and disadvantages academic question, and I don't see a lot of those. I don't know why people don't choose to do them, because you will get them. All right, what is our question today? Many museums charge an admission fee while others are free. This is a variation on a standard question that's been around for a while. Do you think the advantages of charging an admission fee to museums outweigh the disadvantages? Okay. Note the blue underline on that last word there, disadvantages. It indicates a misspelling or something in Microsoft Word. Well, I'm going to see a lot of it. First thing, next week I begin teaching a bunch of 11-year-olds. It's a special assignment, 45 minutes a day, and I'm going to have to do 5 hours. Because 2 weeks, 5 hours of teaching on punctuation. Man, what am I going to do? 5 hours. Well, I see that, and then I see flawed punctuation like this. This happens all the time here where I live as well. Where did you think that you have to put a space before the punctuation mark? Punctuation mark is not a word. It is tacked right onto the end of the word, end of any word that it's connected to. The exception of quotation marks, but a question mark ain't no space between the last word and the question. That's a specific. Generally, with this type of essay, what you need to do is not only state the advantages and disadvantages, and you don't have to explain how they work, but do explain what makes something an advantage. What is advantageous about it? When you look in the dictionary, it describes advantage as something which puts a person or a company or whatever into a better position than they would be without that thing. Or disadvantage, comparatively worse situation. All right, and you have to explain why things are advantages or disadvantages, not just that they are and that they exist. All right, so opening paragraph. What is the function of this first sentence? Museums are a source for knowledge for many people. All right, well, so what? Okay, are a source of knowledge for people in societies. Therefore, we need to think carefully about how we administer their entrance fees. Okay, something to connect the topic with what you wrote in the first sentence. Museums, while many museums are charging an entrance fee, what does it have to do with the first sentence? You need to connect them. While museums are charging an entrance fee, museums have. See, I'm so picky. I need to have my green. Have made it free to enter. Space, period. Now, are charging an entrance fee. Others have made it free to enter. Okay. Others are free to enter. Some are free to enter. Why not just the present simple there? This phenomenon. It's not a phenomenon. Okay, a phenomenon is something unusual or unexpected. It's not an everyday word, and it's policy. This policy has admittedly, which one? Admittedly some disadvantages. But I believe there is myriad of advantages associated with it. Myriad. This is a bad word amongst IELTS tutors. Myriad and plethora are, first of all, there are myriad of advantages. Don't use it because you don't have time to present a myriad of advantages, even if you think you could. Well, how many is a myriad? A lot! It's so many that we can't name it. There is not a myriad of advantages. There are a few that might outweigh. That's fine. Here's another phrase that just kills me. Cannot be denied. Please don't use this phrase. It is, first of all, making conclusions before providing any evidence. Okay, you do it there, and then there's another one later on. I saw it as well. It cannot be denied that charging money to enter into the museum, okay, will discourage low-income or poor people to visit. What's the difference between low-income and poor people? That's what poor people are. They're low-income people. Okay? Pick one word, one phrase or the other. Don't try to be superfluous, mellifluous with your lexical resources. No, just use one or the other. Most of the time, comma, people with limited earning will not prefer. What is this prefer thing that I keep seeing? Prefer or do not. Most of the time, people with limited earning do not to spend any amount of money on taking a tour to the historical buildings like museums. We're talking about historical buildings. What do they spend their money on, huh? Food? You have a point. Okay, this is a valid point, but the way you say it, most of the time will not prefer. You're hedging. Okay, first, and it's such a contrast to what you just said. In the sentence before, it says, it cannot be denied that people will be discouraged. Most of the time, they don't prefer to spend money on taking a tour. You see the difference? Cannot be denied. Most of the time, they'd rather not. Okay, which is it? Neither one of them are supported, and you're contradicting yourself. You do not have a clear opinion. The reason behind this doesn't matter. The reason is self-evident. The reason is that they're poor. So they're not going to spend money on museum tickets. You don't have to explain that, okay? But you spend the rest of the paragraph doing so. Okay, they would prefer to do what? They would prefer to buy food and clothing for their families. Yeah, we know this. Instead of spending time on that, what's the disadvantage? So poor people don't go to the museum. Who cares? What's the downside to poor people not going to the museum? Well, okay. It will eventually, no, it does, deprive a certain proportion of the society to take any advantage of the museum. Well, to take advantage of is negative. Anyway, point being is that you don't explain. That's not explaining why it is a disadvantage socially to keep the poor people out. All right, the high-earning population are the ones who have time to visit, or schools do. What you need to do is explain why a certain portion, a very large portion of the population, won't go to a museum if there's a charge. Now, it might not be so much in the poor adult worker, but when for a underprivileged child to visit a museum outside of school visits, they need an adult to accompany them. And so the curiosity that is often sparked by visiting museums and later can turn into an interest in science and history does not have a chance to flourish. So, and then we're all going to move on. Explain why something puts someone in a worse situation, or a society. Despite aforementioned drawback, okay, that's a fair connection. I strongly support. Now, you don't support a viewpoint, unless it's I agree. Do you pay money? Do you volunteer time to the maintain entrance fees for museums committee? Are you working on that campaign? You don't support it. I agree. You're charging an entry amount. An entry amount is not collocation. Not good collocation. To the museums, which will be benefit in raising funds for the maintenance of the building and artifacts and keeping the exhibits updated. Wow, that's a long, confusing sentence. Look at it. You've got, 5, 8, 10, 15, 19, 20, 25, 30, something around 35 words in one sentence. Tough. I don't know where you're going, and by the time I finish the sentence, it doesn't feel like I've been anywhere. The importance of the museum for the site cannot be ignored. See, there's that. It cannot be ignored. Yes, it can be ignored. People ignore it all the time. I know it's a turn of speech, but it doesn't seem very genuine, like it's yours. This is the place. Museums are places which preserve and keep historical facts alive. Facts? Facts? Oh, excuse me. Historical facts, culture, and tradition alive. Keep alive historical facts, culture. Historical culture? No. Keep culture and traditions alive. Those three don't belong in the same group. If there is an entrance fee, comma, it will generate revenue for keeping the place well maintained and updated. It will eventually result in no or minimal financial burden on the government. Why is that a good thing? Oh, taxes can be used for other projects. Okay, this is the place which preserves cultures and traditions. Take that idea and explain why entrance fee helps in that purpose. Why are they in a better feature? It is, what's wrong with being funded by the government? That you can work on. In conclusion, even though there are some negative aspects to charging entrance fees to the museum, the benefits associated with it outweigh. Benefits outweigh. You do this, I guess like the fourth or fifth time I've noticed this. You have a plural subject, does not take the S in third person singular. So the benefits associated with it outweigh the drawbacks. Outweighs. You haven't convinced me, and you're not explaining why something, particularly that first paragraph. Yeah? Okay, I think that'll do.